Hello, everyone. This is Sean Smith, and you are tuned in to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. The podcast that will connect you to resources regionally and nationwide to engage them and you in open, honest discussions so that we can inspire the growth that you need to chase the experience you want. So strap yourself in because here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. I have a very special guest on the other line who is very, very involved in the youth of Ohio in the northeast part of the state to get them not only activated or recruited into the sport of hunting, but also retaining them and also keeping their parents and their grandparents and just the community overly involved to make sure that hunting remains a tradition, not only in Northeast Ohio, but Ohio itself. On the other line, I have full-time police officer from the city of Warren and also part-time chief at Fowler Township, Mike Currington. How are you, sir?
Hello, my friend.
How are things in Northeast Ohio?
You know what? Things are rocking up here, man. We're hitting the actual crappie. We're doing really well for ourselves. Everything's going super good up here. Yeah,
you sent me a photo of a tank of a walleye that you caught. What'd you say it was? 25 and a half inches?
25 and a half. That was a team sport between Patty and I, my wife. We pretty much both pulled that one in, one on the net and one on the rod.
Yeah, well, with that size, I think it has to be a team sport. So,
thank God.
That's a big walleye.
It was, bobber, minnow right off the shore. All we were doing was pulling in, crappie and perch, and I thought I got a catfish. And it ended up, it was a big boy. We about died.
Now, I off air we were talking a little bit, and you said that what is it the Ohio, the official Ohio pen is 25 inches for walleye? Yes. Congratulations, you got your official Ohio pen for walleye.
I am excited. I'm going to put that little pin right on my hat, and then I'm going to, next month, give it to Patty to put on her hat, and then we'll bring it back and forth.
We'll just keep rotating it around. Oh, dude, that's it. That's good, man. That's funny. You said you were just kind of just fishing off the shoreline, and the biggest saw guy, saw guy was what we have right here, that I've caught was I was bass fishing in a tournament using a football jig, and I ended up catching like a 5-pound saw guy. Like totally wasn't even fishing for him.
I know. I could have died. I would have bet a paycheck that it was a catfish, because we've pulled in big catfish there at Mosquito Lake before. That's where I've got a boat at. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, all right, we're gonna have a fish fry. Catfish, we're ready to roll.
There you go.
And whenever we got that thing up into the net, my wife and I looked at each other and went, holy cow, what just happened? We were all excited.
I hear you, because I remember I was getting my teeth kicked in that tournament. Like I was not catching anything, and or if I was, they were dinks that didn't measure up. And I'm working this one rock line, and I'm just really just slow dragging that football jig across it, and I felt the tick tick tick, and then right. I'm kind of reeling into it because I kept feeling it, and then so eventually, once I got the, I guess what you say, to the position where I'm ready to set the hook. I reeled down into it, still a little tension, set the hook, and the fight was on. I'm like, huh. And it was a good fight too. I'm like, I'll tell you what, I land this thing, I'm weighing in. And then I seen the gold scales. I'm like, that's not a bass.
That's right. Right.
That is not a bass.
Oh, I know. I would have never have thought. Never.
So
never.
So some old boy fishing off the shore got himself a nice saw guy to take home and have for dinner. Cause I'm like, do you want this?
That's it.
I mean, it was alive. I could have let it back go, but I'm like, hey, I know the people, saw guys good eating, walleye is good eating. I'm like, hey, do you want this? Because I can't really throw it in my live well because if I do catch bass, I don't want it,
Right.
I don't want there to be an issue because I got to be able to release those bass back into the water for them to count. And so yeah, he ended up, that old fellow. I don't even know who the guy was. He's just fishing off the bank. I said, congratulations, here's a sockeye, and went on my way.
Yep, that's just neat to watch. There's always something great to see in the outdoors. You always see something new and cool and unreal.
Tell me about it. I'm still waiting to find Bigfoot though.
Right. I think I actually got attacked by one. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a fuzzy moment whenever I was out hunting.
Well, that'll be a whole nother podcast. Maybe we'll schedule another one later down the road. We'll talk about our Bigfoot experiences.
Right. I'll get a picture of it.
We'll be out there like banging sticks and stuff and hooting and hollering in the woods like those guys on Finding Bigfoot. Anyways.
Right.
Anyways, Mike, you are new to the podcast, so I want to give you an opportunity to kind of introduce yourself, and a little bit about your experience in the outdoors. What brought you into it and where you are today. Do you mind doing that?
Sure. I started hunting at 14, and my dad was an actual athlete, so I got mentored by two guys at my church. Henry Vanetta and Hardy Davis. And they are the ones who took me into the outdoors. My dad just, he was the racquetball guy. He was the basketball guy, the sports. These guys took me under their wing, really took care of me since about 14. And then I grew from there. And now I'm kind of starting to pass it on because I've mentored kids. I hunt Ohio. I hunt rabbit, squirrel, the whitetail. I hunt West Virginia for whitetail. I'm a big trout guy. Me and the wife go out. Of course, she out fishes me every time. I mean, she's better than me, But we fish, we hunt. My daughter's into it. My daughter's boyfriend's into it. My family's into it. We get the most out of the outdoors. So I've kind of tried to pass it forward to keep our sport alive and take care of the youngins, because the people who mentored me really did me a favor. So that's my outdoors experiences.
Well, you are very deep in the outdoors, and I think most of the guests I've had on here, and including myself, I think we kind of share kind of a similar kind of start. Like I started hunting back when I was a teenager, and and my mom was a single parent, and a lot of the mentors that I had were from outside sources. They
Absolutely.
weren't nobody really in my immediate family still hunted. I had one uncle who took me out fishing, which gave me the fishing bug.
Right.
But outside of that, nobody in my immediate family was involved in hunting. So I had to rely on like we had a neighbor down the street. His son or stepson was close to my age, so he got us out into hunter's education. He took us out on our first squirrel hunt. And I talked a lot about it in the first episode of the podcast. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but it was definitely outside, like men and women who were involved in the outdoors, that was willing to take on another responsibility and mentor me to get me to where I am, to get me, started in it. And of course it just took off like a wildfire from there. So
yep.
I do understand how important mentors are to youth when it comes to our traditions and stuff of hunting, trapping, fishing, and all that. So I appreciate 100%. That you are
100%,
and I appreciate that you're doing that. So
thank you very much, man. I mean, we as outdoorsmen, I think we all have that in us. I mean, I have rarely spoke to an outdoorsman who is not involved in some type of helping somebody else out in the woods.
Right. And it's, you're right. I do find more people who are more willing to help versus the ones who aren't. There are a few out there who, I hate to say it, are kind of very selfish.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If it were up to, I try to, some of the properties I hunt, I do my very best to make sure that, hey, if I can get access for, somebody else, I try to do that. And then there are others who absolutely like, nope, this is my spot. You stay out of it.
Right.
And,
right.
until that bridge is burnt, if somebody burns, obviously somebody burns me and they abuse the privilege or abuse my help.
Sure.
I'm always there to help them. But, once that bridge is burnt, like, dude.
100%. I mean, if I don't ever shoot another deer in my life, but the kids that I are involved with, my wife, my daughter, my actual family, so be it. I mean, I've done my share, and it's great to watch the others. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I might be cursing myself, but when I'm just happy to see the others enjoy what I've enjoyed for 40 years, and we'll pull out deer for anybody. I mean, the older guy who's been hunting for 50, 60 years, the youngin,
Mm-hmm.
we pass it along,
Well, that's the only way it's really going to get passed along is, is taught, and developed through mentorship and through our willingness to share our experiences, with those others, and just to kind of help them along the way, because, I hunt alone a lot. And to be honest with you, that's kind of why I got away from gun hunting, is because a lot of the guys I was hunting with were getting out of it. Right. And, gun hunting to me was like, it was always a group thing. Like, I think it was more the camaraderie that kind of kept me, in it, versus the actual, hunt itself.
100%.
I don't mind gun hunting. Like, I don't have anything against gun hunting, but to me, archery season was like, that was a time when, for me, that deer were doing what deer does. And that's what kept me into archery more, is the fact of just being in nature and seeing nature do what nature does. Because in Ohio, when gun season comes around, unless you have some pristine locked away land somewhere, the animals are not doing what animals naturally do, because let's be honest, they're running.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, you got to change up your actual tactics.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And that's good for me. I mean, I enjoy the solitude of the early season, and then I enjoy the camaraderie of the gun season, to where, you're able to make fun of people. You're able to, man, what a shot. You did really great on that one. You shot the impossible shot, et cetera, et cetera. But it's for my family and I, hunting season, it never ends. I mean, you're, the day that the season closes, we're still making the sausage, the trail bologna afterwards out of all of our grind. And then the actual stories begin of the missed shot, and the guy that was using the bathroom and the buck snuck right behind him because his gun was 6 foot away and right out of reach, and all the actual stories come back to haunt us, and it just makes for a great season. So it for us, it never ends, and then sharing your game with other people and fixing it, to where everybody enjoys a piece of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
For us, it never ends.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I got rings of deer trail bologna that I had a local butcher made. I get done there that's Miller's Custom Meats there in Sugar Creek, or it's more like Berlin or Walnut Creek out that way. But anyways, I share those with people like that. Those are kind of like gifts I give people, like, here, try this. And they absolutely love it. And most of them, and they don't know the difference. Like, they don't oh, this is deer. I'm like, yeah, it's deer.
Yeah.
Like, man, this is good. So, it's just, there's just a lot of things that we as outdoors women, men and women can do to kind of help promote what we do. Because we obviously, not everyone's going to be a hunter. Not everyone is going to get involved in the outdoors like that. However, they need to understand the positive side of hunting, because, there is a whole other side of our, of our existence, of people who live out here, who only paint hunting in a very negative light. Right. And the people who aren't involved in it at all can be influenced one way or the other. So we have to be good influencers to go show the good side of it as well. Because, we are a minority of people out there. Like, when there's not, we're going to get into it here in a minute, but if you look at the sales of hunting licenses in Ohio, it's not even close to being 1% of our population of who's buying licenses and stuff. So we are a minority. So it's our ability to have a good voice, share our experiences, share our bounty with people, so they see what it is, what it's about. And that's not just about, a certain aspect of it. Right. And, to help influence them in the decisions that they're going to make later on. If they're asked to, hopefully we never get to that point, but asked to make those votes and stuff. So anyways.
Right.
Anyways, well, as I kind of alluded to already, you and I both are pretty passionate about being in the outdoors and what we do in the outdoors, whether it's camping, fishing, hunting, what it is that makes us who we are. And, I touched on it already, but there's kind of a disturbing trend that I'm noticing here in the state of Ohio. And, one of those trends is that it's a very sharp decline in not only the sales of hunting licenses, but also in deer tags in Ohio.
Yes.
And I kind of shared I shared a graph with you, and I figured we'd kind of dive into that real quick. So, talk to me. What are your thoughts?
You know what? If you look at the actual history, I'm hoping it'll come back up. I mean, every history will repeat itself, but it is concerning because I think right now we're getting to where it's the lifestyle change of kids. And I'm going to start off with the actual kids and stuff, to where I see it, to where we're not getting the kids out there. We're allowing it because whatever it could be, whether both parents or at work or only one's at home, they're behind that phone, they're behind that computer, and they're allowing it to happen. And just more and more people have fallen away from the sport rather sharply. The only upstick that we've seen is the out-of-state tags, and I think that's because Ohio is producing some massive deer, some massive bucks, and the word's getting out. But it is very concerning, and hopefully we can see the uptrend of that. But
that out of state has been. It started to decline a little bit there in some of the middle years in this report, but then it started to come back up again. And Ohio does a good job actually managing for trophy deer. You only allowed one antlered deer, period, right? And an antlered deer is anything that has antlers that's 3 inches or more. And so obviously during the late season there are some shed bucks that end up getting shot because they're antlerless at the time. I understand that, but we do manage very well for that. We've never been a 2-buck state that I'm ever aware of. We've always been a 1-buck state. There's some other states, you can shoot 2 bucks, or there's some other states that you can shoot 4 or 5, 6. It doesn't really matter. Right. So we've got a good formula based upon, the amount of people who hunt here, along with the amount of land that's available to hunt, that we have the caliber deer that we have. And I was talking to the Ohio Big Buck Club, and they get, and listen, I don't know if you've known this or not, but every year they get, I'll even be very, very not generous, but very conservative when I say this. I bet you they get between 11 and 15 bucks every year. Yeah. That is 200 inches or more.
It's craziness. Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. I got to hold my first 200-inch rack this year. Somebody from Tuscarawas County shot I think it ended up netted 209. It was
See, for me,
insane.
what I would do to get
It
that
was
is I would screw and tape all of my antlers together from like the last 10 years and put it together and make maybe a 200. And I come in there with
maybe,
a screwed taped rack, you know.
right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'd be able. I don't know if I'd be able to do it if I seen a 200-inch deer. What I would do.
I would fall out of the actual tree stand, come to in the hospital, and that would be it. It would be the same thing like seeing Bigfoot.
Like what happened? I don't know.
What
I don't know.
was that thing?
I don't know. What was that? It'd be like one of those guys that obsessed, and at that point, like, I tell you, I seen it out here, and you spend like your entire life out in the woods now, trying to find
Right.
it again. People think you're crazy, Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but that is kind of a disturbing trend, and I was mathing, and I'm from Tuscarawas County, so math isn't my strong suit, but I noticed that so 2013 was the beginning of the study, at least when this document that they printed. So they looked at license sales at 2013, and the total number of hunting licenses sold is about 422,000, right? So just under half of a million. Fast forward to 2020 or 2023. Hold on. Let me make sure I speak correctly here. Yeah, 2023. The total number of licenses and this is just hunting licenses that were sold was 321,000. That's like a 24% reduction in license sales across the state. Deer tags were pretty much following the same trend. They're going down. So not as bad, not as sharp as a decrease, but in 2013 and 2014, we sold 434,000, and there's some change on that too. In 2023, we sold 381,000, and that's just your either sex permits. Then your management deer permits went from 101,000, right, in 2013, right, down to 27,000 in 2023.
Yep. Yes.
That's insane. And especially considering that Ohio, you can shoot up to 6 deer. Now that's so you have to bounce around a couple counties to do that. But the majority of those have to be antlerless deer.
Right.
And it's insane that number is what it is.
It's just too bad. I mean, we all like shooting the big bucks and, all of that, but, we've also got to be aware that we have to manage them too,
No, we do. And I think, if you really look at it and as a perspective, like you need to have an abundance of resources, for a buck to reach its true potential, right? Or any deer to reach its true potential, there has to be an abundance of resources for it to be able to devote to that, right? Because the first thing it's going to devote its resources to is just the maintenance of its body, right? When they're younger, most of the resources goes into the growth of their bones and body structure, muscle structure until they reach maturity. And then they can start to add a little bit of extra to what, the excess stuff, which would be antler growth and stuff like that. So you have to have an abundance of resources. And to get an abundance of resources is if you have too many mouths on the landscape, you won't have that abundance of resources. So if you're wanting, and I'm not saying that you have to be a big buck grower, like this is not what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that it's better for the herd, to take mouths off of the field if we can. You know what I mean? So that there is that abundance of resources. Mill Creek up by your guys' way. They just opened up I think now you can correct me. Because my understanding is that's the first time they've allowed people to hunt in the park. And they did that because of the exploding deer population. And it sounds like it was quite the success.
It was. I mean, from what I'm understanding, they ended up doing a good job. I did not hear of any negative things of, everybody, what kind of all the concerned folks were talking about and the blood and guts part of it that may have actually happened from what I'm understanding. It was a really good hunt. No negative stuff was going on. So I mean,
Right.
A+.
Yeah, A+ for them, and that also goes to show, like, you got to be careful where you get your information from, because like all the negative, all the concerns of the blood and guts and stuff. I'm like, have you ever hunted? Do you know what it's even like?
Right.
Have you ever seen it? Or have you been part of it? Because I guarantee you, if I, so I field dress a deer, right, and I leave, by probably within a couple days, you would have never known there was a deer there, ever.
Akuma Matata.
because the circle of life and the way things work out is there's animals out there, believe it or not, whose job
100%.
is to clean that up. Like, that's what they do. That's what they do. That's what they survive on. That's what, so trust me, it's
Correct.
not as gruesome as you think. But anyways, let's kind of dive into why you're here. And because obviously I think your program, and to me, your program, what you're doing is a great way to take on that challenge of not only recruiting new hunters into our tradition, into our sport, into our lifestyle, right? But it's also a good way to retain the ones who are here, because now they have a different perspective or a different motivation to go out there and pass that along. And who knows, even some of the ones who may not have been involved in, maybe grandpa.
You are absolutely correct. It revives the old man.
It does, right? And then grandson's like, hey, Dad, or grandpa, I'm part of this. Dad's busy, and there's nothing wrong with it. I get that. Like, life sucks. Like, adulting sucks sometimes. Hey, my dad's busy at work. My mom's busy at work.
Grandpa busts out the old red and black flourished hunting coat, and away we go.
He's got that buffalo check flannel ready to go. Like, let's go, grandson. I got you. And off they go. So not only that, but we're also reactivating people to get involved in the sports, which, if you don't know what I did there, that's the tenets of R3. That is recruitment, retention, and reactivation. So, and the program you guys have up there is hitting all three of those. So why don't we just kind of dive into that? Like, what's your program?
What had happened was back whenever COVID hit, back in 2020, myself, where I'm the police chief at, is in a very rural part. It's hunting, farming area. So I got with the school resource officer with the Mathew school, Steve Smith. And Steve is kind of the unsung hero here, because Steve is not a hunter. He's the basketball, baseball, the fitness guy. Well, pretty much the exact opposite of me. I'm the bigger bullier, get up in the actual tree stand. So we were talking about it, and I says, hey, why don't we get together a hunting program? And it's this great way for the kids who are not involved in sports, the kids whose maybe their sports have got canceled. A great way for the families and the kids to cope with this actual COVID issue and start it up. And he says, I got you, Mike. He went to the Mathew School Board, who actually approved this program, and it went. And what we do is we had 3 age categories: 8 to 11, 12 to 15, and then 16 to 19. But you had to be a student of the Mathew schools, and you would go out anywhere in Ohio or PA, and you had to legally harvest a deer. And the contest was first, second, and third place for the weight of the deer in all 3 age categories, and then we put them all together for the biggest buck from 8 to 19, or 9 to 19, and it worked. The school said yes. Huge feedback from the community. The bus drivers were telling us, "Oh my goodness, all the kids are talking about. I've seen this deer in this field, and I'm going to get this big deer, and he's on my uncle's property, and yada yada yada, and I got this one," and that was the big talk. and then we had a banquet. We had 11 kids, and we are on our fourth year, and we have 60 kids now. We added on the
Oh
Joseph
my goodness.
Badger School District, the Bloomfield Mesopotamian School District, and next year we're going to get the Southington School District. So our goal is to get every school in Trumbull County.
Dude, that's wow. You're at 4 years now and you've grown
I've had a lot of
exponentially.
great help. I've
Wow.
got the ODNR officer, Marty, from Trumbull County. He's on our staff. Steve Smith, who's works for the sheriff's office. He's on our staff. Bobby Clark. Now this man sticks out huge. Bobby Clark is a lifetime outdoorsman. He takes kids with fatal diseases on his property. He owns hundreds of acres. He's like on the Make-A-Wish Foundation, to where they can call him up and they will bring kids to him. And he has wheelchair accessible stands and gives them guns. And he is just absolutely incredible. He is the definition of a sportsman. He will not take a deer on his property until all of the kids get a deer that he has taken out. And it's sad to say that he's had a few kids that have signed up that just weren't able to go because of bad a shape they're in, or they actually passed away. But excellent. Michael Wilson, who is retired OSP, he participates. So we have a really, really good staff. And the unsung hero of it all is the wives. All of the wives help us out tremendously because we can get it together, but they put the final touches on everything that we can't do. We get everything from the community. All of our donations come from every community that's involved. So we have a lot of support.
Well, it's good you're getting that kind of support up there, because that's what's going to help the program grow. And I know there's some challenges, and we'll kind of talk on these here in a minute. But I want to circle back to when you originally started the program, and it sounds like it's still that way today. Why did you guys, because typically most contests are what? It's a big buck, and they go off of what? The score of the antlers. So yeah. So why did you guys decide weight? What was the
spread out?
Why that?
The gifts. Everybody got it. We were able to give these actual gifts out along with the actual door prizes, but we wanted to keep we wanted friendly competition, and we also wanted to be able to get all of the kids a decent prize. I mean, they go up from the tactical backup packs to, we have Ohio State firearms and another place that gives us $500 for guns, that for gift certificates, so that people can go in there and buy either a gun or what have you. So we are really, really good as far as that. We're very thankful for our sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely helps, and I'll thank the sponsors myself too for being involved in helping out a program like this, because it's needed. It is needed. So obviously you guys will accept does and bucks.
That's exactly
this, right?
it. We've actually had does outweigh bucks in this competition. Yeah, it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Well, good. I like that premise too, because we talked about it earlier, and you mentioned it. Like, there's a lot of commercialization, and there's a lot of like hype that goes about the biggest buck, though, right? Oh, the biggest buck by score. Like, you shot a 100-inch deer. Well, look at this 200-inch deer that I shot. There's a lot goes into that, and I like the idea that we're accepting does and going off of weight too, because that's great when you like, oh, look at the buck I brought in, and then all of a sudden the doe outweighs it by like 50 pounds.
You know,
like, oh.
what one of the things that we preach is a trophy is what you make it. A trophy is in your mind. It's the longest shot.
Yes, sir.
It's the biggest buck. It is my first buck. It's my first buck with the archery.
Mm-hmm.
So your trophy could be being out with your grandpa or your sister or your brother, and you both harvested this. One of you spotted it, the other one shot at it. You know, shot at it, the other one shot it, and you both dragged it in. And that's a trophy.
Well, I don't think I could have said any better than that. And that was just kind of curious why you guys went the weight route, and I kind of assumed that was the reason why.
Yes. Yes.
You know. Well, anyways, so obviously, you started in Matthews. Is that what you correct? Is that what you said?
Yes.
So what were the hurdles you guys had? You're coming up to the school board, right? And you say, hey, this is the idea. Right. This is the idea we have. What are some of the hurdles you guys came across?
We were, I mean, thank God. I mean, we have a gun shop in Vienna, Top Gun, and he was kind of the hub of it all. So it was the community coming together, and thank goodness the Mathew School Board, they were very, very open to it. We were all sweating. We were kind of pacing back and forth, and Steve was able to give a great presentation to them, and they says, yes, of course, as long as you put on the flyer, absolutely no weapons on school property. And we went, we love you. Gotcha. We'll put it in big bold letters, whatever it takes. And they go, it's fantastic. So we were able to get that off the ground. But if it wasn't for them, this would have failed tremendously.
Yeah, man, hats off to Matthew's school board, whoever's sitting at the time, if most of you are still sitting there, hats off to you guys to have the open-mindedness to allow this to take place, and thank you to all the other people involved 100%. In creating this, because this is a unique program. Like in my job, I travel the state, I've been all four corners of the state, and I'm pretty open about, I like to bow hunt. I'm big into it. And to be honest, this is like one of the first times I've ever heard of a program like this. And that's why I really wanted to get you involved.
We're just so happy.
Yeah. Because that's, yes, there's hunter's education. There are some schools that do offer it. There are archery programs. There are some shooting programs. I get it. But this is like the first time we're actually talking about like hunting in the school. Yeah. It's kind of like, the kids talk about it because in Ohio, I don't know about other states, but Ohio, our gun season's so big that we give kids days off during the gun season. Like usually it's Monday. I
mean, there very well could have been like a revolution if they did. I don't know.
Right.
But we are a very big farming and hunting community, and the actual schools responded to that. I mean, you're absolutely right. I think those kids now get they can get X amount of days off, and I don't know. I think the brown fur flu hits right around the Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
I don't feel well to come to a school, but I'll see you in my stand.
I hear you. So basically, this idea came about, like you said, right on the crux of 2020, and obviously, the only real thing for people to do during this time frame was outdoors, right? Everything else was shut down, and I'm not going to go down that political route, just saying everything was not available, and so outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, camping, all this stuff, and so you guys jumped on this opportunity to help children, obviously, because schools weren't open. They were remote learning, so there was a lot of isolation happening here. So you guys jumped on board to get them outside, involved in an activity, and whether it's something they've already done or something you introduced them to. So kudos to you guys on that one. And it started, what you said, 10 or 11 kids the first year.
Yeah.
Mm.
We literally had it like in this little back room of a restaurant. Um, we had to be masked up and everything else. And like I said, we have just grown and grown and grown. We are partnering up with Ducks Unlimited now. They're going to be putting out an actual table. Tiffany and Michael Heath, they are a representative for Ducks Unlimited. They have a youth program. So we're actually partnering with them to expand it out. Um, we just happened to hit it right. Those 60 kids now, I mean, it's just great. The families are responding very well. Whenever the first, second, and third place kids get the actual prizes, and they go from a good like a multi-tool all the way up to an actual trail camera. But we're giving away scopes and multi-tools and knives and crossbows, some really good prizes. These kids are getting prizes that are better than the equipment that I use. And the actual schools are going, we actually we outgrew every venue that we had. So we're actually doing it in a school's cafetorium, and their attorney says, you're not allowed to have the firearms on campus. Well, no problem, we don't. And you have to, for your actual crossbows, you have to make them kind of, what do you call it, like inoperable. So we zip tie them, and the actual knives we zip tie them into the sheaths, and we cannot transfer them on school property. We can display them, but we go off of school to actually give them to the kids as if they're, a knife, a crossbow, anything that can be used as a weapon.
Well, that's cool that the attorneys are on board with this, because obviously there's liability that's involved in these kinds of things, and I figured that'd be a hurdle of especially when you outgrew your venues, and you told me, or I was actually reading where you guys were in the cafeteria of one of the schools. Yeah. And we'll kind of circle back on some of these things on, how you guys got around that. And when I say got around that, like, I didn't mean that in a negative light, but what were some of the hurdles in that? And the attorney's like, hey, this is what we need you to do. You guys like, no problem. And you took care of that. So
yeah, Steve, like I said, Steve, he still is in the actual schools. Just fantastic. The attorney said this, and this, and we were like, absolutely, we're going to do it. We have a guy who makes a custom knife. So we had to modify the actual display, because it doesn't come in a box or a locked plastic container. So we had to modify the way that we actually displayed it so that it was for display only, and then we had to put it into our actual car and go down the actual street to a person's property that allowed us to actually transfer it there, and just fantastic. And the representatives from that school district, the attorneys, I believe, were at that, and they were like, "This is fantastic. This is exactly what we wanted you to do. Come back next year." And we were like, "We are."
We will. Hey, so your custom knife maker, is that Mickey Yurko?
What's that?
Was it Mickey Yurko that made your
knife? No, it
is
actually Nicholas Clayton. He is a deputy sheriff with Trumbull County. I think he just went to Kent PD, but he makes up the knives. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's a cool thing. So Matthews was your first school to jump on board. Who was next?
The Badger School District. Steve went from being the SRO to Matthews to Badger.
Okay.
And
then who fell in next?
Bobby Clark got the MESPO school system. So that's where we're at now. And we invited board members from the Southington School District to come to the banquet. And they came and they went, "Yep, we want to be involved next year.
That's awesome that it's growing like that. So you're going to be up to 4 school districts that you're aware
Yes.
of right now.
Yes.
And more to come, hopefully.
Hopefully some more to come. I wanna kind of give a shout out to some of my kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our first year, this gentleman named Wesley Murphy was our first big buck guy. Solid family, solid kid, involved in sports, just all around. Comes from a good stock. He was our first guy. And our sheriff is the one, we have a huge trophy. I mean, it's like 2 foot tall. We put the names and the schools on this actual trophies, and it's a traveling trophy to be put into the showcase of every school. So we want the kids to steal back. I shouldn't say steal, to win back the trophy. So we got this actual traveling trophy, and his name was first on it. Like I said, just a solid kid. Whenever him and I got into kind of this together, he went to the wood shop and he made me a state of Ohio, and then he burnt in a big deer on the actual state of Ohio inside of this wooden thing, and he gave it to me. Now, what kid would think of that?
That's amazing.
So now him and I, every year, we trade back something. A friend of mine who is older than me gave me a pocket knife back in the day. Well, it only makes sense for that pocket knife to get passed down to him. Oh my, look, he'll take it to school and get confiscated. But oh God, hey, where'd you get the knife from?
Please, young man, don't do that.
Mike Currington, the police chief. I'll be like, oh no,
Oh crap.
But what a solid kid. I mean, Brantley Bakos was our second year, and he is just full of energy. His whole family hunts, mom, dad. This rack, the buck weighed, I believe, only 125 pounds. Its rack, I believe, was a 140 something. I mean, it was all rack. And this kid is just the quietest kid, and we make them come up and speak in front of a crowd because we still have to keep them in this educational process. So public speaking. And I was talking to his parents, and they were like, it ain't going to go well if you have them alone up there. And I says, well, you know what? We're going to get the family up there. So he had to explain how he shot the actual deer in front of a crowd of 100, and his family came up and backed him up. And, just great. Our chicks in here, our female hunters are keeping up with the boys. I mean, they are getting some righteous deer. Alexa Agu, she shot a 9-point. I mean, just boom. Great family. She was so super excited. And these are all my kids. They stand out in my head. Mitchell McElvoy, Boy Scout. He's going to become an actual Eagle Scout. Just, these are the types of kids that are participating in this. My favorite kid, though, is his name is William Harrington, and he is, honest to God, the poster boy for this. He shot, let me get this straight, I think his first deer with a black powder gun. His second year, I could be wrong, archery. And then he made like a 91-yard shot with a rifle this year. And to top it off, he goes out with his grandpa. His grandpa takes him out. And this is exactly what we're looking for,
Exactly.
And sure enough, he won the actual crossbow this year. So for all of his time, he actually got picked by our actual uh, door prize system, he won the
Hmm.
actual pretty much the top prize, and he
That's
deserves it
awesome.
all.
Yeah, he does. He's been a three-peat, man. He's doing
Oh,
good.
you know what? That crossbow's bigger than him, and I'm going to tell you what, that kid Liam is just a fireball. He is just. I mean, you can see in his face, he is just a mischievous little fireball, and I love him. you know.
And I love
But
him.
his grandpa comes up, and I was able to take him out. I couldn't even see the actual deer. He shot. It scared me. And he goes, "What are you shooting at?" He goes, "The deer over there." And he goes, he looked, and he went over there, and he goes, "Sure enough, there was a dead deer." Old grandpa.
Sure enough, there's a deer.
You know.
That's the stories you're looking for, right? That's the type of memories, those core memories that we want to create, because that's going to be stuff that's going to live with that young man
Mhm.
forever, right? That's going to be what's going to keep coming, keep him coming back, and that's just reactivating another generation too, like grandpa, like just getting him involved in it. Like that's, like I said earlier, this program is touching on all three of those tenants. And I don't work for R3. Like I really honestly don't know much about them. I know a little bit about
Yeah.
them, but like if those are the programs that the federal government and a few others are dumping money into, like, hello, like this is it. This is it in a nutshell. Like in its simplest form, here it is. This is how it's working. And my hat's off to you guys up there in the Northeast for what you guys
Thank
are
you.
doing. Like I said earlier, like it's unique. Like I've never heard of this before. And I've been to four corners of the state of Ohio, and this is the first time I've heard of something like this. Now I was doing some research because you sent me some articles and stuff, and it sounds like you guys have a pretty prolific family. Was it the last year who did like extremely well? Like they have members of like every age, almost every age class.
It was the Hirschberger boys.
And they almost
Yes.
took the house. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They very good family. The one, and this kind of says it all. Now they work. I mean, they are truly. They work their actual land. They're always putting up
Mm-hmm.
food plots and everything. Their life revolves around. I shouldn't say that because I got a story for you about that. They are a part of their life revolves around, or a very big part of their life around deer hunting. I mean, it's just a lifestyle. So it was one of those actual nights, and we were talking with the family, and the moon phases, and nice night, and this and that, and boy, this would have been the night to go out. And sure enough, we were speaking to Dad, and he says, "Oh no, these guys are at church. They have a Sunday school thing." And it was what an awesome thing to do, is that it's prime hunting. It's prime, if you go with the moon and the stars and the breezes and all of that. But no, there is an actual priority of, yep, these guys had a commitment to the actual church. They had to be at the church, and that just says a lot about that family.
Yes.
They have their actual priorities straight.
And it's still coming out on top. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's something I've learned along the years, right? Because when you're younger, sometimes priorities can get a little skewed. And I spend a lot of times in the woods, and to be honest with you, now whether it's because of experience or whatever, I've become more successful the less amount of time I spent in the woods. Like I actually I actually went out and not blew the woods out or whatever. Like, I don't know how I'm going to exactly explain it, but hunting's important. I love hunting. I love bow hunting, but I have found more success in not being out there every day like I thought I had to be, and so if there's other priorities have to come first. Family, family comes first. Work, faith, whatever those things that are important to you need to come first. And then when you got a little bit of extra time, go out there and chase that buck. I guarantee you'll be successful. It will come. So I got to ask, right? Because when it comes to these type of contests, right, everyone's got a challenge to everything. What is your parameters for someone to get a deer weighed? What do they have to do? Because you guys go by weight. So, obviously you just don't want them to show up to any, they don't go to their home scale weigh. It's like, oh yeah, so what I weighed. So what are the parameters behind that?
Well, for me, there's the informal one that you have to beat me. So I cheat. I'm not going to lie. I put cement blocks in my deer. So, I take the picture from behind, so that nobody can see the cement blocks that I put into my actual deer, because I can't take a 10-year-old, which it happens every year, just beat my deer. So I always have at least a 400-pound buck. I mean, I will change stuff to it so that a 10-year-old does not beat me. But what had happened first was we would do the whole, had to come to my place on my scale only, this, that. Well, that was kind of, they were shooting it late. I was not available, etc. Well, thank God for the video camera, because what these guys do is they will come up and they will videotape the entire process on their on their phones, to where they have their own, and they will put it on the actual ground. They'll get two cameras, one at the scale, one at the bottom. So it almost takes it takes the actual quote unquote cheating aspect out of it, to
right.
where the scale set at 0. They get back, they hoist up the actual deer, then they walk towards the actual scale, and then they put it on there. We do have a scale available for those folks, but with the camera and the videos and stuff, it makes it very, very convenient to have that, with very little chance of somebody having a misjudgment or trying to actually cheat, if you will.
Yep, I get it. So
it's made it really convenient for us.
Right. Just so I'm clear, or we're kind of clear, they can weigh their deer on their own then, right? But it's videotaped. Okay. But it's videotaped or whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And we started off only doing it at one actual place, but then it was one of those to where I had to work. I would get called out. They had it at the processor, this or that, and they could get it done at their actual processor too. That was the other thing, is if you're going to self-process, you had to have, you got to have it on video. If you take it to an actual processor, we have to have the receipt with the weight on it from the actual processor. Right. So we get like a third party doing the measurement.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of out of convenience. We started off with, strict only one place to weigh it, and it just could not work out. We didn't want to have anybody shy away from entering the contest because of something as small as that. But we, thank God for a smartphone.
Don't say that too loud.
I'll give you that one.
And don't say that too loud. But no, that's good. And that's also kind of shows, like, I can imagine what it'd be like 60 people calling you like, hey, we got a deer to bring in. Like, and you're about.
Go ahead. The rut was terrible. Terrible. I couldn't get any sleep. I actually got, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, I got to go here, I got to go there, bring them over. And, they were an hour away in Southern Ohio, and I was like, oh my God.
But also, so thanks for you for actually really committing to that at first. And then obviously you kind of said, yeah, this isn't working, because that could have killed the program in a heartbeat.
What's that? I'm sorry.
That could have killed the program in a heartbeat. Just because of how difficult it could have become to actually weigh the deer. And that you guys seen that and addressed it. And now you've got a way that is actually pretty agreeable with everybody.
Yes. I mean, like I said, it's, we're able to see the entire scale and measuring thing, and it works out really well, you know, because
So,
usually they have the family over, so we get 2 videos, 3 videos per deer from every angle. It's pretty funny.
well, hey,
You
they
know,
they want to make sure it's legal. That's good.
you got to make sure, and those families, I'm telling you, Sean, they go goofy. If it, the kids' faces come up in the pictures, and they're just ear to ear smile. And you're thinking that is the greatest thing ever. And then you pan out and you see the family, and the family's even, got a bigger smile. And, they're partying in the background, So the mom and the dad and the grandfather and the uncle, they've got their hands in the air, and their faces are just as excited. The expression on their faces are just as good as the actual child who shot it. So I mean,
Right.
it's just funny. It's just funny to watch the parents.
Well, I've been there. My son shot his first deer, and
Right.
and like I'm like giggling. I'm like, woo. So I get it. Sometimes
Right.
I'm worse than I'm more excited than they were. But
I know. I start to shake. I mean, I get more of a thrill out of it. My daughter shot a big deer on doing a push, and sure enough, she shot it right where it was supposed to be, and she did everything. She helped track it. Uh, she gutted it. She pulled it out. She hung it. She skinned it, and she helped cut it up. I mean, she's on top of things. And of course, the old man here taught her how to shoot, so I was very confident that she wasn't going to miss. I'm lying there too.
I was gonna say, spoken like a true firearms instructor.
Yeah, I'm lying.
But come to find out, it's probably mom that taught her. Well, there's a lot of challenges that external challenges that I think the program in other programs like it can face. And one of those challenges that started to circulate back in about 2022, and we're getting ready to close the show out here, but back in 2022, the Safer Communities Act was passed by Congress, and the idea behind it, where the intention was, we'll just cut to the chase of it. They made it to where federal education funds could not be used to buy any dangerous weapons. The end, right? And the term was very broad. Very, very broad on what a dangerous weapon was. And so what were the challenges you guys had with that? Were there any?
We did not. Marty from ODNR, he brought that up to us, and we just kind of said, okay, we're going to see where this goes, but we're going to push through it. Sure enough, I don't think it got the actual steam that people thought it would get, and it was just kind of a non-issue. The biggest issue that we have is a lot of these communities. It's not a metropolitan business community, so it's the cash thing. A lot of these smaller mom and pop businesses. So we're starting to expand, and we are just hoping that the money expands with us, with these other communities. Our goal is to get every, school district and stuff, but we want to keep on, like, every kid gets a T-shirt, every kid gets a mug, every kid gets a necklace, kind of an actual trophy thing. Every kid probably walks out with $125 worth of stuff, and that doesn't include if you place first, second, or third, and that doesn't include a door prize.
Okay.
I mean, we're giving them baseball hats, we're giving them like the water bottles. And that's what we're afraid of. We don't want to have to cut back to where they only get a T-shirt
Right.
for a door prize.
Yes.
You know, and those, oh God, and those kids, those stinky little kids, all of the all of the SROs are like, maybe the T-shirt's a bad idea. They wear them like 5, 6, 7 days in a row, and they're like stinky little kids. You know, like mom and dad's like, listen, you just wore that yesterday. Yeah, I know, but you know, Bob over there is wearing his, and we have to wear them together now. And they're like, for the love of God, throw it in the washer. You know, but we just want to be able to give them as much as we can, and you know, we know we're going to probably have to cut back, and then hopefully it shoots up again. So, but no, we did not get anything from that. We just pushed through. I mean,
That's good.
You know, we're going to stay with the family and the kids on this one. You know, we're going to overcome it.
All right. So I'm gonna say this. So, what can your communities, what can the businesses or whoever wants to be a part of this, you know, obviously you have your sponsors who are already pretty in depth in this, but let's say people that want to get involved that aren't involved right now. What can they do to help you, and B, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, they can email me at mcurrington. It's MCURRINGTON at fowlertownship.org, and that's FOWLER, and then township is spelled out .org, and it's all lowercase. If they can get a hold of me there to get involved with this, that would be great. Donations are great, whether it's a monetary donation or an actual item or a gift card, anything to actually give to the kids. We have a raceway, the actual Sharon Speedway is up there, and sure enough, they give us four tickets per family to get in. So it doesn't have to be hunting related,
right?
You know, anything will help us.
No, and that makes sense. So, ladies and gents, if you're listening to this, if you want to get involved, please reach out. Like this is your opportunity to get involved. Every little bit helps, especially to help keep the program going, because listen, it's good for the community. It's good for the kids. It's good for the families. It's good for the schools. And it sounds like we're starting some good school rivalries up there. So, and we want to make sure that we get, you know, and you are pushing to get all of Trumbull County involved. Do you know how many school districts there are in Trumbull County?
I do not. Okay. I mean, we up here in Trumbull County, we have a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, like the Mathew school district is for Fowler Township and Vienna Township. Mm-hmm. But then like the Warren City is just for Warren City schools. But so we have like some schools that might have 2 or 3 townships. So I am not 100% sure, but what we're doing is we're working closely with the sheriff's office and getting their SROs involved so that we can have like a contact person per school. So we're starting off with the sheriff's office, the schools that have an actual SRO in them, so that it builds the community relationships between the coppers and the kids and the families also.
Well, good. I mean, look at you just trying to check all the boxes. That's amazing. The community relations, obviously, you know, with the police officer aspect, you know, you and I are both law enforcement officers, or I was at one time. You know, so we get that dynamic that, you know, we need to reach out there, be a part of the community outside of, you know, just what the kids see us as. You know, and just getting the community involved, not only, but getting the community involved in the outdoors, just the outdoor space, right? And showing hunting in a good light, right? And not what the anti-hunters would want you to think it is, because it's not what it's nothing like what they say it is.
Nope.
Well, Sir, it has been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
We're approaching an hour and a half, and honestly, I think we could probably do multiple episodes. We might have to get together and talk about our Bigfoot stories, and then have a separate episode on that. Is there anything else in closing that you would like to say?
No, I don't have anything, Sean. I just thank you so very much for giving me this opportunity to get on here so that we can spread the actual news about this actual program. We need to get our kids involved in this to get them away from their phones, the computers, get them back with the family core.
Yeah.
And, hopefully we can pass it along.
Well, sir, I know you're thanking me, but I'm thanking you for what you guys are doing up there in Northeast Ohio to actually make this happen. That's a lot of work, and a lot of people that don't see behind the scenes. It's a lot of work that's going on there. It sounds like your guys' wives are taking up the brunt of it.
Oh God, yes. Thank God. Thank God.
Thank God they're there. Is there anywhere else people can reach out to you at? You gave your email there at Fowler Township. Is there any other outlets to get a hold of you that you're willing to share, or Fowler Township's the best place? You
can also give me a call at 330-637-7111.
Well, that's awesome, sir. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Mike, once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and chat to us about the big deer contest you guys have going up there in Trumbull County. I really hope that you meet your goal and that you get all Trumbull County involved. And who knows, maybe with the right sponsors, the right touch, the right thing, you can start to spread throughout the entire Northeast and possibly even Ohio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I hope so. Well, ladies and gents, thank you so much for coming and joining us for this hour and a half as we talk to Mike about the big deer contest there. We know that your guys' time is important, and we appreciate that you spent the last 90 minutes with us. Before we go, obviously, if you know anyone in the area that would like to become involved in the big deer contest, please make sure they reach out to Mike Currington. He gives us contact information for you guys to reach out to him and get involved, whether it's donations, whether it's you want to help get your school board involved, whatever it is, please reach out so that this can grow, because it is very important that we make sure that our youth today get involved in the sport that we love. Because if you are in the outdoors, the numbers we gave you earlier should be alarming you. That sales are down 24%. That's alarming. Where does it go from there? But ladies and gentlemen, until our experiences cross paths again, we hope that you have the courage to fail, yet have the humility to learn. And as always, we hope you stay safe out there, and God bless you. Thank you for listening to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. Before you go, don't forget to leave us a review and follow the show on the podcast platform of your choice. Are you hungry for more Country Fried Outdoors? Then follow us on Instagram at Country Fried Outdoors, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Country Fried Outdoor Productions.